And here we are back again, and in different surroundings tonight. Back at my office, but almost didn't make it back to the office tonight. So
Yeah, you've had an interesting day, haven't you?
yeah, we've been out of power here in Auburn. I think they said it affected about 600 or 700 households, and for about since 11 o'clock, and it just came out about 5 or 10 minutes ago. So it's been out most of the day. So it's and of all days, my generator, I got a whole house generator for the building and everything,
Yeah.
and the battery is dead. So that crap. So usually when the power goes out, it's usually a matter of like, yeah, they get it, they reroute it, they get it back. Well, then they sent out a text message to everybody that said your power will be restored approximately 10 p.m. I'm like, what? So, so it's like, yeah, usually it's a little sooner than that, but not much. And then they finally sent another one out that said it'd be at 7:30, which would be 8:30 your time. It wasn't on
Yeah.
then, so actually went in and grabbed the battery, put it in the generator. So I got that fired up, and I was actually just setting everything upstairs. And Norma said, "I think the lights are on downstairs." She was looking at the cameras and all, and I'm like, "Really?" And she said, "Yeah." So I'm like, "Okay, well I'm gonna stop doing this, and I'll go down there." So I came down here. So yeah, it's been a
Yeah.
whirlwind day. So it's kind of kept me going.
Yeah. Crazy. Yeah. So
So
you
what's
said
new?
it like how many people? It affected that many people, so it's basically all of Auburn, and pretty much, right?
Yeah, not too far from it. Probably, I mean, there's like 4,500 people.
The majority.
Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
majority of the town, but we ended up with we probably have about that 6 or 700 households were, I don't know, 1,200, 1,500 people, maybe 1,000 people. I'm not sure how many. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, and then I've got other buildings in town that I actually own that have Wi-Fi in them, and it affected those buildings too. So great. But I
Yeah.
think I finally looked at my other one. I think that the one that I keep all my paranormal stuff in was still had power down there. So okay, I can always run down there and do it. But like, well, that won't do me any good because the Wi-Fi is not working. Because it's shut down because where they have the everything set up in town for the Wi-Fi, they've lost their power.
Yeah.
So like hotspot,
Yeah.
I've got one of those. So I hooked it up upstairs, and I did that upstairs
Sure.
just to try it. And in fact, I turned the TV on, and Norma's like, "There's nothing. You can't get anything on TV. The internet's not working." I'm like, "Oh." And so I'm like playing with it, got it up, and I was like, "How'd you do that?" I'm like, "It's a secret. I don't have to tell you everything." So yeah,
You're
so
not going to
so I
share
turned
your
the hockey game
hotspot
on.
with her.
Yeah, I told her, I
Oh,
said, "If
did
you're
you?
really nice to me," I said, "If you're really nice to me, I'll give you the password." And she's like, "Oh well." I'm like, "That's not being nice." So like, yeah, she was having a crystal. She was having a crystal moment there or something. I'm not sure. So,
uh, yeah, yeah,
so what's
yeah.
new and exciting in your end of the world?
Not a whole lot. Just the same thing. It's been busy here, and we just added a new event that we're teaming up with the Asher Walton House down the street. Where we've put out 20 tickets to sell, 10 for each location. And Saturday, October 29th, we're going to do an event together and see how it works out.
So you have 20 tickets sold, but then you'll just rotate 10 people. We'll go back and forth. So they can come down and investigate for a
Yeah.
while, then flip and come back and then flip back and forth a little bit.
Yeah, we're gonna like probably the better thing we were thinking is probably just do it every few hours. That way, then they get
Yeah,
a decent amount of time, and then they're not stuck in one location half the night and then have to come over.
sure.
So a little bit more. But I mean, since their places are so close, it's not too much of a walk. So I think
No,
people will have a good time.
you can see the houses from each other, so it's not that far away. So it'll
Yeah,
work out pretty good. So
yeah. So I mean, we just put that up and see how it goes. Hopefully, it'll be good. I mean, we've had a lot of people asking about it, and we've finally gotten around to making it happen.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's only been a couple of years or so in the making, so it should work out.
Yeah,
But if you
yeah,
want tickets for that, you can just go to the website rosehotel.com,
yep.
and I think they've got links all set up on there for it and everything. And I can't see those pages. Crystal blocked me from them, so
She's blocked you after
yeah,
throwing the
she's
pie
blocked
in
me
your
from
face.
everything. So, yeah, after that,
Throw.
yeah, after the pie episode, she just kind of blocked me from everything. So
The-
I'm sure she
yeah.
probably has a locksmith in next week changing the lock since I did take the keys back. So,
That was funny. That was a good time.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
yep, it was.
that was a whole lot of fun. Yeah.
But yep. So, but yeah, just check it out, and you can get
yeah.
grab some tickets there and everything, and so yep. So it should work out pretty good. Hey Marcus, how you doing?
Yeah.
You was asking how your exam went.
Oh, yeah, probably the hospital thing, I guess. I'm assuming. Maybe because I said something about the whole leg issue going up. Yeah, there's no blood clots, which is good. I have talked to another uh, doctor's office this morning. Actually, they're talking to me. I guess I'm going to see another not vascular surgeon. I mean, I should say. They're wanting to do a ultrasound, I guess, to see what's going on and see if he can find anything because he seems to think that maybe there might be something he can do. So we'll
Oh, that's cool.
see what happens. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I'm keeping an open mind, even though like. Well, I've dealt with this my entire life, and then
Right.
I've found one doctor that I trusted, and he's the one that did the amputation. So it's
You
going to take
trusted
a
him
little bit.
before. You trusted him during the amputation, also, then, right? So
Yeah,
I trusted him to
yeah.
cut my freaking leg off.
I know. Yeah, now here we are. It's like, but yeah, I mean, he's been good and all that, But it's like I'm open to other opinions to see if maybe there might be other options. And the worst that can happen is I go and be like, yeah, you're just like all the other ones. I'm good. Thanks, but no thanks.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
but
you don't need the guy sitting there telling you you want the straight scoop on it. It's like don't sit there and tell me like this. There's about a 2% chance this might work. So let's try it and see. It's like no, let's talk about this
yeah,
then.
yeah, I've been through enough stuff to where and so many doctors and stuff that I've dealt with that I'm at the point like I'll know probably first couple visits or so whether or not I'm going to be like, yeah, I'm not coming back to this guy, or okay, he might be
Yeah,
okay.
really. Unless he's got
Yeah.
cute nursing staff.
You go back every week, right?
Yeah. Can I make daily appointments here? So that's
Yeah, I think my leg's swollen. I need to go back.
yeah. You were just here yesterday, Mike. I know it.
Thanks,
It's
Michelle.
just really feeling bad. So
Yeah, thanks, Michelle. I appreciate it. Yeah, thanks all you guys for tuning in. Yeah, we appreciate it. Tonight's going to be fun. It's going to be good to talk to Paul and
yeah, it's a little
see what's
informative
going
too.
on.
So
Yeah. I mean, I was reading the book. I didn't get all the way through it because this is kind of a busy week, and for me, there's a lot of stuff going on, which you're aware of.
mhm.
But yeah, I mean, I've gotten a chance to read some of the book, and yeah, it's really cool, which is rare for me. I always wait for the movies to come out.
Yeah. Well, it's like
You know, I
I've
am. It's like,
I've started reading. I've started reading Paul's book. And actually, the last book I read. Well, I take it back. One I read entirely. The last two I read entirely. One was Jim O'Rear's book about like an autobiography about Jim O'Rear, which I have no idea why I read it. It's a small one, and nothing against Jim. I like Jim a lot, but I read that on an airplane. The other one after that was on a bus to Troy, Ohio, and back playing on a hockey team when I was. It's the 70s or 80s. It was Sudden Impact. Kind of gives you an idea how long it's been since I've read any books. So I've started reading Paul's book. I haven't had a chance to get through a lot of it just because I'm not here in the office or at
yeah,
home, much right now with everything going on at Ashmore. So it's kind of
yeah.
do that. So let's see. Let's bring Paul in. I got one question that Marcus asked you about, and
Um, honestly, my thing is like at first when I moved up here, it was you notice every little thing. Like you have all kinds of things that pop up and stuff, but over time, it's kind of like how you have the neighbor's dog that you hear barking when you first move in. You're like, oh my gosh, the neighbor's dog's barking all the time. After a while, you get adjusted, you get used to it, and like I still hear things. I acknowledge I hear things, but I mean, it's not like that constant thing to where like like I said, you get like used to the neighbor's dog barking all the time.
right.
So yeah, I think it's one of those things. I think eventually you'll kind of kind of get into that mode to where it's just, like an everyday thing.
I kind of think the spirits that they're, spirits in the building may used to you also. I mean, it's like just like
True.
here at Ashmore and at the theater here. I think the spirits here in the theater are just like, it's just him. It's just leave him
Yeah.
alone. He's not going to pay attention to us anyway, so why bother? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think they get used to you and they just kind of like just leave you alone. And it's like he's here all the time anyway. He hasn't paid attention to us. It's kind of like just the cat or the dog that you don't feed, and he finally he's like, all right, I'm going away. I'm not even going to be here anymore. So, but with that silliness, let's bring Paul in, and maybe he can enlighten us a lot more on this subject. So
Yeah.
there he is. Hey, Paul, how you doing?
How y'all doing?
Great. How are you?
Good.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
I'm actually amazed that I didn't have the Scott Tepperman luck and was actually able to get the technical stuff working.
Yeah, well, if you know Scott well enough, you know that Scott can't hardly get his Timex watch ready most of the time. So
Yeah. I've done events with Scott and stuff. He's a real good guy, and I love the interview that you did with him. He said a lot of good things. We used to have long talks and whatnot when we did some of the events that where we spent time together, and we share a lot of similar thoughts concerning the paranormal. And I completely echo his thoughts concerning bringing in people that should be brought in versus a lot of the flash and glitz of what you're kind of getting from the television shows nowadays.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's the problem is that the I think some of the paranormal people that are really into the paranormal appreciate bringing people in that are just like I do at the Unity Day. I don't bring a lot of big name celebrities. I don't bring any big name celebrities in. I can't afford to, so we don't do it. We bring people in that kind of come in and talk and about what they're familiar with and everything, and I think people really enjoy it. But then the person that just watches TV shows because they like watching the TV shows and watch the personalities, they're the ones that are buying tickets to those events where a lot of people are at. And unfortunately, I think that's what really bumps the numbers up at those events is those people there. It's not your your typical paranormal person doesn't go to a lot of events because they just don't. For some reason, they just don't think they need to.
Yeah, well, I kind of look at it as a mixed bag because when I used to travel and lecture and do a lot of events and things, I found that the ticket sales kind of primarily focused around people who wanted to see people on television, the autographed hounds and things like that. And then you've got a small portion of us who were there doing events, wanting to, show people new ways and new approaches on how to do the work and the research and stuff. And, you want to share this material with other people. And that's what I like about the shows that you put on. There are people that I don't recognize in there, but I become familiar with them because they're doing the work. They're not somebody who's just there to sign autographs and have a good old time. I think that's a big difference there that I can appreciate.
Yeah, I agree. I think the ones we try to bring in are ones that maybe a little more, we bring every once in a while, you bring one of the TV site personalities on, but then you bring a lot of people that aren't TV personalities, and they're the ones you get a lot of the information from because those are the ones that are really, like you said, they've gone in, they've done the studies, they've done the in-depth stuff, they've wrote books that meant something, and other than writing about their autobiography about how they got this TV show, and on weekends when they're not doing their TV show, they're going to events to basically trying to sell, like you said, sell pictures or sell their merchandise. They've kind of quit investigating. They're not even into the paranormal that much, other than the TV shows, and that's it.
Yeah, but there are a few people that do television and do the work as well. And we all know television primarily is entertainment, but that doesn't necessarily mean that those who are involved in those shows do not do the work. So, there are those people that you can have in an event that do make ticket sales, but also have a lot of information to share. And I really appreciate those guys.
Oh, yeah. It's like next week with Richard Estep we've got coming in here. And he's one of the perfect example of that. He's wrote a ton of books. He's gone out and he's done the investigation. When he writes a book, I know because I've seen him firsthand at 2 locations that I have. He spends 3 or 4 days there at the location and just gathering information. And he asked me to send him everything I had on the history of Ashmore Estates, and I'm like, okay. And I said, I'm gonna have to send you a link to it because there's a lot. And And so he's like, oh, this is great. He's like, it's going to take me a little longer to write this than I thought because I've got so much information to go through and make sure I get everything right. So you gotta appreciate somebody that's doing things like that.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. And you mentioned the location. That kind of just whets my appetite because I mean there's so many things that I do that hasn't been done there. Research wise would be fun to do with prototypes. Hardware and such that I develop and work on.
I mean, it's
Mike looks like a zombie out there, like he's going to sleep on us.
No. If you start seeing me slump over and like you hear like a thump, you'll see that I'm out. But no, I mean it's good to see instead of just spending like half a night like whatever, and then just taking your basic 1 hour tour or however long like that basic information you get. Right there at the very beginning, and then just going in and spending 5-6 hours in and be like, oh, I'm just going to pop a book together. To see the time being put in there, spending days, and the number of nights in there like that, and then taking all that information that you've gotten and put all that in there, take that with the experiences you have in those 3 or 4 days, and then put something together. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There were two locations that I spent a lot of time with. And I mean, I've lost count of the number of days. I want to say they go from 2 to 3 digits. And that was the old South Pittsburgh Hospital. And I'm sure you probably heard OSPH.
Sure.
And the Octagon Hall in Franklin, Kentucky. Those are 2 places that I developed all of the methods and stuff that I wrote about in the book that I published. And between the 2 locations, I always had some new piece of hardware, and I would contact the people that were running the locations at the time, and they would say, come on out, and I'd maybe spend the weekend there, maybe spend a Sunday there. I'd pick an off day or something like that so that it wouldn't really impact much. But the thing was, we were able to try new things, and anything that worked kind of became, reusable, so to speak, even though it didn't. A lot of the stuff can't really be reusable because we're dealing with intelligences. So if you're dealing with the same intelligence and you're trying to pull the same thing, they may be bored with it, or maybe they just don't want to fool with it now that they know what you're doing. If there's something you're trying to be kind of coy about or slick with.
I just want to say, I told you, I haven't read the whole book yet because, like I said, it's kind of a crazy week this week. But I've gotten through part of it, and I just want to add that I can't tell you the last time I read a book. My sister laughed when I told her that I was reading the book, and she's just like, "Are you actually going to read it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I am." And she's just like, "I'd like to see that," because I don't. Like I was telling Robin a few minutes ago. I mean, which you were on here. I think at the time you probably heard. I'm one that's like, oh, if it's on the book, I'll wait 6 months until it's on the movie, and then I'll absorb everything then.
Right.
So yeah, but I mean, it was really cool. I mean, once I sat down and started reading on it, I would stop when I had to,
Right.
Instead of like, oh, I can't get into it or whatever. It's interesting. It's good.
I wanted to make sure that when I wrote this book, it was going to be something that was not a lot of fluff. I know a lot of people can be really creative and use 20 lines to describe something that somebody could sum up in 1 or 2. I took the short route. I want to make sure that if you're going to read it, I'm going to hold your attention long enough to get through it. I don't want it to be something that's going to bore you or put you to sleep. I want you to get through the chapter, which are all pretty small, and be able to absorb the material quick, and it kind of inspire you to think and maybe add to what I've got. The idea is the book inspires you to think, try, and continue to develop, and maybe come up with some other ideas with some new twists or some changes that might even work even better. The stuff that I come up with is, I just want people to try. A lot of this stuff, people don't try. And it bothers me because a lot of the stuff that I've got in this book, almost all of it has worked at some point or another. So I know the stuff can work. It's just a matter of people taking it seriously and trying it. There's nothing in there that's difficult. In fact, the majority of the stuff doesn't require any kind of hardware. You don't have to go out and spend a bunch of money. You'll discover that, because my approach to doing the work with this book was a psychological approach as opposed to any kind of science or metaphysical, the psychics side. I'm not gifted with that stuff. So I have to depend on my wits and hardware that I build. But the book, I'm getting into the mindset of the person I'm trying to find. When you die, how much of you translates over to the other side and remains intact? Maybe you can move at the speed of thought, but will you react to something if you hear a noise in the location you're occupying? Do you still retain curiosity? If you were kind of a mean person when you were alive, maybe there's a good chance that when you translate on to the other side, you'll probably have the same demeanor or disposition. And that seems to hold true in most of the work that I've done, and I think in a situation like that, I've dealt with disgruntled people. I call them people, even though you can't see them. They were people. They're still people to me. These people can tend to become, I think, possessive at times of locations. And that's why when you investigate certain homes or businesses, there may be something in there that seems like it's kind of bad, when in fact it just may be a previous owner who's just thinking, this is my place. I bought it. I don't care if I'm not alive anymore. I still feel it's mine, and you don't belong here because you seem like you're an intruder or a stranger to me. So I'm going to try and get rid of you. Just one scenario that ran through my head, and I thought I'll treat it as such. And I've used it with some of the work that I wrote in the book, and developed these tactics to look through that and try and sort this stuff out.
So for those that are joining us that don't know you at all, give us a little background just so they kind of get an idea. And then I'm going to show that book on the screen again so people know what we're talking about. But they're like, what book is he talking about? So
Sure. In 2009, I had been doing research. Let's see, 2005 is when I began. So we got about 4 years of research. And I did like what most people do. I get the Paranormal 101 books. And at the time, I couldn't find anything that would get you any further along. 101 seemed to be all everybody had. And I thought, why haven't we got more? Why haven't we developed more? And this is where I began looking into some things and trying a new approach entirely. And I developed a book called Thinking Outside the Box, Tips, Tricks, and Tactics for the Paranormal Investigator. You can call it Paranormal 201 if you want. But the thing is, it takes an approach that a lot of people don't use or don't think about. But the point of it is, it's different, it's new, or at least it was in 2009. Some of the stuff probably is being used now. There's some older chapters in there that probably has seen its heyday. But I guarantee you'll find something in that book that'll make you go, what? Man, why haven't I thought about that? I should try that. I've had people contact me that I don't know that said, I've got your book. I've tried it. We've got some results with this. And I think it's fantastic. And the first thing I do is encourage them to come up with as much as they can with the material they have. And if they come up with something new or different, let me know. Let me try it. We'll bounce this off of each other and see what we can come up with. And that's kind of how this, developed. Now, I've had several editions of the book come out. The last one here was in 2020. That book was a version that needed to come out. It had some material that hadn't been published yet, but something happened to me that kind of made me want to hurry up and get this out there. I came down with terminal cancer. I've been fighting colon cancer now for about 3.5 years. So maintaining, not in the best shape, missing a little hair. But the thing is, here, I'm going to keep pushing on. I'm going to keep sharing. I'll lecture wherever people will have me because I want this information out there. When I go, I want this to keep going. It would be wonderful to know people can learn some stuff that they might not have otherwise.
Yeah, for those that are going to be at the Unity Day in February of next year, here at the theater, Paul's going to be here speaking as well. So, we're looking forward to that. He's going to come up and spend some time here with us and talk. And he's got some friends that are going to be here too. I guess you're friends with the Kling brothers too.
Oh, absolutely. We did several events with them. I want to say in Florida, maybe another place or two. They're one of the few people that I really respect in that they had a nice television show and great approaches to the work. And so they're good guys. I think the world of them. So they kind of fall a little different than a lot of these entertainment TV people and whatnot. I like Brad and Barry. They're awesome.
That's probably why they don't have a show anymore, because they don't follow the same way as the entertainment people did. So it didn't work well.
It's funny you say that. There was somebody filming a special. It was an episode of some series. I was there. I was going to be a part of it. It was shot at the Octagon Hall. I had a friend with me who had just gotten a chance to come to the Octagon Hall. He went with me. The company was filming a person in the house. We were outside near a graveyard, good distance away from the house. He's carrying a handheld recorder and says, "Is there anybody here with us?" No sooner had he finished the sentence on audio, kid you not, plain as day, somebody went, "Yes." Well, we didn't know it at the time. We walked back to the house and we're playing it back, heard that, flipped out, ran in, got a hold of the TV crew and said, "You're not going to believe this. You're not going to believe this. Listen." We played it for them. They heard it and they just looked at each other and kind of went, "Eh," and went back to the group they were talking to and never used it. Didn't care.
That happens a lot, I think, with shows out there. It doesn't fit their agenda and their storyline, and they're not going to use it. Brad and Barry had I forget which episode it was, but they talked about it just recently on their Investigators podcast. They had a knife that came right up out of a vase. It was the knife that was sitting in the vase, and they caught it on film, and they said, "No, we're not going to use it." I guess because Discovery Channel didn't really want to show that there was the paranormal. That's what Brad and Barry think. Is like, they just wanted to make a nice show. They didn't want you to catch anything. They just wanted to have a nice show.
It's really what it was about.
So your book, give us a couple of the segments in your book that you feel are probably some of the hot spots.
Okay, this is something that I kind of brought a few things here that I wanted to show off and explain some content. Okay, now we all know you go into haunted locations and what most people do, EVP sessions. People break up into groups and everybody scatters and does it their own way. What do you not know? The simple answer is you don't even know if there's anybody in the house. You may have chosen one moment in time that whatever it is that's been haunting a location isn't even there. Maybe it's somewhere else. We don't know. Can't see them. Don't know whether they're there or not. How do you cover that base? How can you get through to whatever's in that house, not even knowing if they're there? Well, I thought about it. One of the things that crossed my mind was we have the 5 human senses. Seeing, smelling, touch, hearing, and one other one that for whatever reason chemo's making me forget. So I thought, what could I appeal to help get the message across? And then I thought, hey, if they navigate, if they go wherever they want to go, they have to be able to see. If they can see, I can bet you they can read, right? So if they can read, what if you came up with something, a note, a message, something you want them to know that you could leave behind if you wanted, and possibly communicate with something and not even have to worry about whether or not you're present. Okay? I developed something called request signs. Little messages that are designed to communicate to whatever may be in the location, and using a method where you're not being rude. Ghost Adventures. I'm sorry. And, you're not going to offend whatever's in the house because the whole idea is you want to be courteous, right? Respectful. That's the word, respectful. So I thought, why not develop a sign you can hang up written in a way that's not offensive. It says, if you can read this, please, and a request. Okay. And if you wanted, you could even put down here in this area here, thank you. The thing is, if it comes back and it finds us hanging up, maybe it's going to go, well, why do they want the door open? Okay, whatever. Maybe there's something behind the door. And they open the door. Now imagine if you had a camera set up somewhere, stashed, aimed at a door with a sign on it. And let's say the door opened. Maybe you got your paranormal phenomena recorded right there. That happened at OSPH. I seen the video, and it was because this sign was left on a door. That door in a hospital now, mind you, a hospital, imagine the number of doors. That door never opened by itself ever. It had never been recorded as opening, but it did after putting that sign on it. And it did it several times. Now, the people that were caretakers at the time, they're not there anymore. I promised a copy of the tape and I never got it. So it's my word is what you have to take. But the thing is, okay, that's a good example. Now, you can come up with others. Please turn off the light or turn on the light if you want. I got a couple of those. What if you did this? Put that next to a chair. I've got another one that says, please roll the ball with the ball laying down. I've got one that you can lay on a table. It says, please put the coin in the circle. And there's a little circle with an arrow, and you put a quarter on there and leave it alone and see if you can catch that quarter being moved into the spot that's left for it. It's all kinds of things that you can do with that. Now think about that. You don't have to be there. You should put the cameras up and leave. Okay? Now, that's the psychological side. I told you I build things too. So I take electronics, and I know just enough to be dangerous, I guess. So I developed this. If you'll notice, it has a message on it. Please place your fingers in the holes. Inside those holes are sensors. This is called it's abbreviated BIPAD or BIPAD. It's a Browning Interactive Paranormal Effect Detector. We want to know what they can affect. There's a purpose to this. You get a little power source here, a little battery, plug it in. That's an arming sequence. When it gets done, that'll cut off and it's ready to be used. You leave it somewhere in the dark with a light that kind of sits over top of it, the way a lot of desk lamps are. And the whole notion is they can see it in the dark. It attracts them to it by seeing something odd in the dark. It's lit. One of the sensors is a light sensor. You notice, my light sensor's already gone off. I ran my hand over it. I've got one. If you touch it, it's a capacitive touch sensor, kind of like your screen on your phones and such, contact. I've got another one here. I don't know if it's going to go off or not. It's got to be warm enough. It's like a 5-degree temperature change. And when it actually does, it's a thermal detector, and it will light up. Now, I don't think my finger's warm enough when the room's not cold enough, so I don't have a varying temperature to get that one to trigger right now. And the last one is a magnetic sensor. Everybody talks about EMF and ghosts, so why not? No. Let them put fingers in there and find out. Whatever they're made of, let's see if they can turn some of these lights on. Give it a little thought. Let's say one of them is turned on. Let's say the light sensor triggered. Okay. If the light sensor triggers, my thoughts on this are, now let's take the concept and move it to stage 2. We know that they can affect it because they set it off. Now, granted, I like to get a couple of hits, reset it and get a hit again. something repeatable. I would then build another box that has yes and no and put that sensor in both of the holes. You start to see where this is going.
Mhm.
Now you can ask questions. You might be able to touch whichever one to make a yes or no answer. So now they're able to interact even more because we know the new device would be based on something they can't affect. Now, if that works, we could even take it a step further. We build version 3, all of the letters of the alphabet like a keyboard. Now, whatever's there might be able to text you. So think about that. That's a big chasm to cross communication-wise, but if it works, take those steps.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. And who knows? It might work out just perfect. That you got to try something. Like you said, with the name of your book, thinking outside the box. I mean, I love to do that when I'm on investigations.
Mm-hmm.
Always thinking of something, trying something different, trying to do something a little bit different.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, trust me, when I get out there, we do the event. That's coming with me.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I tried something at Ashboro one day. I set up a sound system in the building, and it was all throughout the building. And I said, I'm gonna do an EVP session on all 3 floors at the same time without moving. And so I sat downstairs and just asked questions, and we did that. And asked, so you're all 3 floors were hearing the same question. I put recorders at the end of each hallway. I used Zoom H4n recorders, so they picked up really well. And put those at the end of each of the hallways and did it. And I actually picked up results on one of the floors. I numbered each of the recorders. I knew what they were. And I was asking questions about one of the girls that passed away from a car accident, and asked if they knew what color hair she had. And one of them called it out right and said it was red. And so it was an interesting catch with some things there. And we've had we've done that with others too.
Yeah, that's a really cool idea. I like that.
Yeah. Terry asked about a link to your book, and Terry's actually one of the ones that comes out to Ashmore, helps me a bunch out there. So I think I got your book off Amazon, but do you have another place that you can get the book from?
If you go to lulu.com, that's where I had it published. Lulu carries it. So if you go to lulu.com and just look up Thinking Outside the Box, you'll find me, all Browning. Should be the 2020 edition. Should look just like that. And you'll be able to get that. It's not much. I tried to price it relatively cheap because, not something I'm going to try and retire with. It was something I wanted to arm people with so they could try new stuff. I do want to say, and I talked to you, Rob, about this not too long ago, and I believe Mike is aware as well. I'm going to be creating a special edition of this book that will be available for Mike to help with the foundation, and so I'm gonna have some of those made available. We'll figure out how to handle everything and whatnot, Rob, and you can get a hold of me and we'll work through all that stuff. But the whole thing is, we might have some of those for the event, but I want to make sure that Mike has, he can get what he needs and help the foundation out with any copies he sold. I don't want any of it. It's all, it's all to help out.
Yeah, no, that's great. We talked a little bit about that too. Yeah, and I talked to Mike about it. I appreciate you doing that. Yeah, it's always kind of nice to see somebody stepping up and helping out the charity like that. I mean, the Paranormal's been great to the charity and Mike and all. So it's you're just another asset to that.
Exactly. Yeah, can't say thank you enough. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Not a problem. I can't wait for that event to come around here. I'm like, of course, my condition and situation is like, we're going to get there. Am I going to be around?
I told you you don't have any choice. We don't take cancellations. So
you're booked. You got to be there. You're booked.
Yeah, you don't have any choice. No backing out. So,
like you may have to record me doing EVP sessions, and I'll get some answers for you or whatnot. But
there you go.
I honestly, if it comes down to it and something seriously happens, God forbid, I'll have something for you regardless that you'll be able to use, because I'm just like that. I want to make sure that, the information's there and that you'll be able to, the people that are coming are going to be able to hear some things, see some things.
Yep. No, we appreciate it. That's looking forward to it. That's going to be our 10th anniversary, and we're doing something we've never done. We're doing a Friday night pizza party with everybody. We're doing Saturdays like we normally do it. Saturday night we're not doing an investigation. We're doing a gallery reading and then a catered dinner for everybody, and then so it's gonna be a lot of fun. I think it'll be a little different than we've normally done, and frankly the investigation starts wearing me out, as well. So it after I start at 6 o'clock in the morning and you go to like midnight or something like that, the investigation just didn't make it long. So
Oh, nice.
and here's a question for you. You might have actually just pulled up your favorite piece. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
What's your favorite piece of equipment? Marcus wants to know.
Ooh, my favorite piece of equipment. Gosh, when it comes to the paranormal environment, I'm a stickler for control. I want environmental control. I want to make sure that doors can't be opened on me. Homeowners don't walk in wanting to poke and prod around and mess up my experiments and such. So I think most of my best equipment lie in alarms that I set and sprinkle around the house. I've got a system that I'm working on. It's a motion sensor triggered type wireless array. And you can take the units, place them in different areas, and set up a base station wherever it is that you want to set up your base. And if any of them are triggered, it'll tell you, the unit will actually call out itself and say, hey, I got motion here. And I like having stuff like that. Now, you can get the big surveillance systems, but I don't use them. I don't like running tons and tons of wire and cameras that are subpar, and I don't want to spend $1 million. I don't have it. But for me, a lot of it would be security equipment based on motion sensing and environmental controls.
I did something at Ashmore. You talk about thinking out of the box and all. I did something at Ashmore. We have electrical outlets on each of the hallways, and they're about 6 to 8 feet apart. Maybe a little farther sometimes, but about 8 feet apart. So I put motion activated flashlights up there, thinking that, okay, if somebody needs a flashlight, they're there, but they're motion activated. And so when you walk down the hallway, they kick on. Well, I had people that turn around backwards and try to just turn them off, or, broke some of them because they're like, these things go off every time we walk down the hallway. I'm like, yeah, but they also go off when other things walk down the hallway that you don't see, because we've actually seen that happen twice. We were all sitting up there one night watching the movie Children of Grave 2 that Booth Brothers did, and the lights were going off in sequence, one right after the other, all the way down the hallway. And I looked, I'm like, that's kind of weird. I was like, oh, it's a cat. And I'm like, all right, so the cat was in the building, and so we got the cat, got it out of there, and then we're sitting there. And 15 minutes later, they go off again. I'm like, where's that dang cat? I said, it's going off again. And they're like, it's over here. And I'm like, what? No. And it's like, yeah, it's right here. Some girl was holding the cat, and the lights are going off in sequence down the hallway. And I was like, look, guys, I said, they're in sequence. If they get kicked off and on at random, you think, okay, that could be a problem someplace. But it's like something's walking right past them. And same thing with our motion lights. I've got them sit on test pattern on the stairway just so that they're on when people go down the stairs, and they complain about it. I'm like, use them to your advantage. I said, those should not be going off. I said, they haven't gone off all night. They're sitting there. They're in the building 24/7. And I said, I've been in the building and watched them go off at times. And it's crazy, but it's like, use that stuff to your advantage.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's basically what started the whole ball of wax with the whole wireless motion sensor array that I was coming up with, because I felt it's nice to know this stuff is going off. My problem was I just didn't want to have to try and have them within sight. I wanted to sprinkle them further and further apart so that, I didn't have to be on top of them to see them go off. That's why I have the system's called the Narc System. I remember the abbreviation right off the top of my head, but the whole thing was it just kind of rats you out, hey, this one here is going off. Hello. And that's cool. Plus it logs that. So, you've got a record of when it went off, which one went off, and, so on and so forth. But the thing is, you got the concept, and I mean, it serves its purpose. It's a wonderful idea. I think it's great you're doing it. more people need to do stuff like that.
Yeah, I like your signs that you had done too. I think those are great.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've got something in my investigation equipment. I have a ton of equipment, but I have a couple things in there that I keep. And every time I go to a location, I think, what can I get that can be different? And so I did an elementary school years ago, Poasttown Elementary School in Ohio, and I got flashcards. And I sat there with flashcards in a desk at the front of the classroom and asked people to, like read. It's like, give me the answer to this flashcard. And just kept putting it up. Or say, what color is this? And just asking for answers. I didn't get any good responses, but at the same time, finally after I got done doing this, I'm like, if you want me to leave, I had a REM pod, or I think it was REM pod, sitting there at the desk the entire time. Never went off. Didn't do anything. I was in there for 40 minutes. Finally, I was like, if you want me to leave, if I'm really boring you, just light that up. And the dang thing went off. I was like, well, I guess I'm leaving now. So I got up and walked out of the classroom. So I got kicked out of the classroom. So it was like, not the first time in my life either.
You may have tapped into some kind of bad memory that they had in school. Maybe, one guy who can't do math,
Exactly.
In the book, one of the things was, I think it's the Going in Hot chapter. I was reading that, and I was just like, yep, that's happened here. When people come in and I show them around, and it never fails, something will happen. And they're like, did you hear that? Or did you just see that or something? It's like, we didn't bring our recorders or anything in with it. And I'm just like, yep, that's happened here.
Yep. Yeah, I learned my lesson. Octagon Hall. It happened to me times to count. And I was like, why? Why have I not got some kind of an order going? And I made it, a rule at the time when I was running a team operation. I don't care if some of you don't have them on, but somebody needs to have audio going. Let's make sure we cover the bases. And that was great because we go into people's houses and stuff, and there may be something at the door going, great, now we got more people coming in here. This is awesome. Why don't you guys leave too? And you catch that kind of stuff on audio, and it helps you in so many levels, because if the owner of the house is trying to get the proof to get clergy in or something, because they don't want to just come out for no reason, boom, you got it, just like that.
Right. One thing that I always like to do is when we start doing investigation, I always kept a pair of audio video glasses, and I took the lenses out of them because I didn't really care about the lenses. I was like, so I just had the frames, and we had one girl that we called Bait. We always had her put them on, and she wore them going into as we did in the parking lot. She'd put them on, we'd kick them on. And so she was recording, and we went down to Morse Mill one night, and I remember one of the girls, we walked in the back door at Morse Mill in Missouri, and one of the girls like, something just doesn't feel like it even wants us in here. And those audio glasses picked up a voice that said, get out, right after she said that. And so we were 10 feet inside the door, and we already caught our first EVP.
And it's something that you would think a lot of people do, but there's still, I come across lots of people who are like, I don't know why we haven't done that. And you think, man.
Yep, exactly. Paul was, where is he at? I got the wrong one there. Let's see.
Hey, Greg.
There is a chapter that when you guys read it, it's probably going to be, I don't know how it'll be received by some people, especially those who claim to have psychic abilities or whatnot. I don't have that kind of stuff, but chapter 15, when you come across that one, it'll probably make you giggle a little bit. Let's see here. The fool me twice rule. This is something that I learned, okay? I pulled a stunt, wrote about it in the book, learned, actually another fellow learned the hard way. Here's the experiment, okay? I already know that whatever's in a location retains the normal human emotion of curiosity. There were several of us in the house. It's actually Octagon Hall. Several of us, me and probably 5 others. Jim O'Rear was actually in that batch, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
We were showing him, actually to show Jim around the property and whatnot. So I did, and there was a family, 3 people there, and I was showing them around as well. Well, we were all sitting, there's 3 floors. We were sitting in the middle floor, we were talking, and cutting up, and it was getting late. It was probably 11:30 at night. And the gentleman who was, with the family was telling me that, he was doing ghost hunting and stuff. He was telling me, he says, there was a girl here. I was trying to help out. She was, having some stuff go on in the house, and she wanted to get some audio files off of her audio recorder, and I thought I'd help her. I said, okay. He says, but I don't understand. There's a couple things that happened. Didn't make sense to me. And he said that he was changing out the batteries and stuff, and they were on the floor we were when he was doing that, whatever day or time that he was doing the audio transfer, and he heard something upstairs. And he hollered out real loud, don't make me come up there, and kind of laughed it off. Well, he's still helping her out with her audio files, heard it again, and he went upstairs, got to the top of the stairs, and something was waiting for him, because he said, I saw this really big black shadow, and it bum rushed me. He said, it hit me and it went through me. It was ice cold and it beat to death. I turned around. It was all I could do to get back down the stairs. I said, okay. And he says, but there was another time I was in here with two guys. It was in the middle of the night. Two guys are over fiddling with hardware. It was in between, I don't know, sessions that maybe they were doing EVPs or whatnot. Maybe they were getting batteries. The thing it was, they were fooling with their gear. Something came down the stairs from the third floor, went off to the right into a room that's adjoining, and came through a doorway right next to this gentleman. And when he said, I had this really bad urge to say hello. And when I did, it retraced its steps real quick and went all the way back up the stairs. He goes, I don't know what's going on. And there was a third vent, which I don't know. I can't think of what it is right now. He says, anyway, I don't know what that means. And I said, I do. I figured it out. He says, what do you mean? I said, I want to try an experiment. So I gathered everybody up and we all huddled together in a kind of, football huddle, right? I said, look, we're going to go around the room. We're going to split up, spread out. Everybody sit down. I want you to make a noise. Nobody talks. Make a noise for about 5 seconds. I don't care if you jingle your keys. I don't care if you knock on the wall. I don't care if you clap. Some noise. Crinkle a bag. 5 seconds. That's all I want you to do. 5 seconds. Then I want you to wait 30 seconds more. Half minute. Next person will do the same thing, but with a different sound. Any other sound. Nobody matches their sounds. We're going to go around the room. Okay? We're in the dark. There's enough light coming through the windows where we can see each other, So we're just like, I don't know, all set up. Everything's quiet. And you hear somebody jingle keys. Half minute later, somebody knocks on the wall. Half minute later, somebody taps the foot. Half minute later. By the time we got around the room, this 3 foot tall thing, it moved like it was ink, like a flash, come flying in the room, stopped dead in front of me within 2 feet. I could reach out and touch it. When it came into the room, everybody was glued. Everybody was watching. Nobody said anything until the younger girl that was with that family let out a gasp, and this thing bolted from the room. I bet it was probably another 2 minutes before anybody even said anything until finally somebody said, did you see that? And it was all based around curiosity. If you heard noises in a house that had voices, and it was quiet, now you're hearing noises, what are you going to do?
You have to go check it out.
You got it. And it worked. But the fool me twice rule was you can't get them to do it again because they know what you're doing. So something like that you can do maybe once. If there are several people on the location, you might pull it off a second time to a different one, a different individual. But otherwise, one shot is all there is, so you better be ready for it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. I should ask my question, huh, Robin?
You better do that. We're running out of time.
Yeah,
You better
yeah.
ask it.
Yeah, I know exactly. So let me get a drink real quick. So I always ask everyone that comes on, if you could investigate anywhere in the world, where would you go?
Gosh, man, that is the world's toughest question to answer. It's a very good question, but I think I would probably like to spend a month at an insane asylum. Where is it? Is it St. Albans?
Oh yeah.
Yep, I've been
There's
out
one.
there.
There's supposed to be one
Trans-Allegheny or St. Albans.
Yeah.
Trans-Allegheny. There you go.
Yeah.
That's it. Love to
Yeah.
go out there and spend about a month.
That would be wild.
You might become a resident after a month. So
Yeah. Yeah. It's a long time. Yeah, it'd be a long time to spend in there.
Yeah.
yeah, that sounds like it'd be a lot of fun though.
Oh,
I thought you were
boy.
going to ask your other one, Mike. You missed that one, I guess.
Oh yeah, the one. Yeah, I stole this. Stole this because in an interview that I did, and it was that good, and it just caught me off guard. And I was like, "This is a different question." So the question is if you could investigate with any three people, alive, already passed, or fictional, who would you investigate with?
Wow.
It's a good one, right?
That's not going to be a snap judgment. That'll take a little bit. Wow.
Yeah, it did
Three-
the same thing to me too. I was like, oh.
Gosh, I don't know. I couldn't come up with a quick list. You know, I wouldn't mind. See, I hate this. Chemo makes me forget so many things, or I can't get the words out. There's an investigator, Hans Holzer. I'd like to get him.
Yeah.
He'd be one of them. Gosh. The other two, not sure.
Hans
But
has
I
been on a list
would.
a lot of times.
Who's that?
Yep, a lot of people think his name comes up a lot.
Is that right?
Yep.
There's a reason for that.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yep.
no doubt. But I wonder how many people would have thought about it until before this show, before the
No.
Holzer files.
I don't know. I've got his book. It was one of the first books I ever got. I want to say this is one that's titled Ghosts. I mean, it's that what do they call it? The cyst buster. One of those. The big thick book. But gosh, I couldn't tell you who the other two would be. Definitely though, Hans would be. He definitely would be in there. I'll tell you what.
Same way.
I'd add Houdini to the list because he could help me debunk.
He's been on there before
Yeah.
too. Yeah, here's another
Yep.
good name.
It's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of mine was Sherlock Holmes.
That is a good choice. I just can't. Is he a fictional or is he an actual living individual?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know.
Fiction based on fact,
I think
maybe, or something along that line.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember one of mine was Abe Lincoln, just because I'm in that area, and he was kind of into the paranormal stuff and all too. So if I'd be kind of fun just to kind of pick his brain a little bit, what's left of it after getting shot. So
yeah.
Too soon.
yeah, I mean, it's been 100 years. I think it's.
Maybe Elon Musk just for the electronics.
There you go. Yeah, and the money to get you wherever you want to go. So.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little of that.
Yep.
So you mentioned Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, but where's some of the other locations that you investigated that were just like incredible that you just would love to go back to?
Well, there's a few home locations, but confidentiality
Right.
prevents me from
Sure.
disclosing those. You know, as far as public, those two were the main two. I really haven't come across too many businesses where I've found, um, you know, a lot of activity. Those two were probably, I mean, they were, when I found those, I felt like it was over. I didn't have to go anywhere else because I could go back again and again and again. And it was like, it was just a great thing because, you know, the people that were caretakers for the location trusted me enough to be able to do the work and to try the new things and whatnot. I always said, you know, whatever I got with the stuff, you can have it. You can do whatever you want with it. I just want to try this stuff out.
Sure.
And they were pretty good about that.
Yep, that's what Bill Chappell's always enjoyed coming up to Ashmore. He said he'd love to come up sometime and spend a week up there just because trying different stuff out, doing different things there. But he's been one of his places that he's came to that he said, I just wish there was an easier way to get there as far as airlines go, because it's not the easiest place to get to purposely. And Bill liked it, bringing equipment out there.
That's the same with OSGH. I mean, Chattanooga is about as close as you can get, and then it's, you know, a long ride in a vehicle. But Ashmore, yeah, I've been wanting to dip into that and get my feet wet and try some interesting stuff. So I'm hoping maybe when we get out there, you know, you can show me around the place or something.
So, yep. Well, when you come here in February, it's 2 hours to Ashmore. I live 2 hours away from Ashmore, so yeah, I'm not that close.
Okay, I see. Okay.
This name here, Terry just popped in here with it. That name hasn't came up, and that would be a good one. I've never heard anybody mention Frank, and Frank would be a good person to have on there.
Yeah.
That list of people that investigate with. Yeah.
Oh, Assumption, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, he'd be an interesting one. You know, go back to the old ghost box stuff and see. But well, have you got some places coming up that you're going to, and or you got any events other than what we're doing in February that you're coming to?
You know, I really haven't. Cancer's kind of really knocked the wind out of me financially. So where I used to go to a lot of places, now I don't. And so when I get an invite out, if I know I've got an invite and I can get from here to there, that's about all I can afford. You know, if I can get there, then I'll do the work of what I don't care if I've got to eat out of a plastic bag, you know, and it's peanut butter sandwiches, but whatever. I do have a private case I'm working on right now, and seems kind of interesting. I feel for the family. They're a little worried. It's nothing that they're excited about. In fact, they've all kind of left the location. And so I may be bringing clergy on that depending on how things are. But, you know, it's a difficult thing when you have a situation where you have to discern whether or not you're dealing with a disgruntled person or actually something dark. So that's part of the whole experience. I think a lot of people don't take into account when they get in this line of work.
Right. I saw something in a paranormal chat room not too long ago where somebody asked if you would invite a TV team to come in and investigate your location if you were having problems, or your house you're having problems. And I made the comment in there that it's like, well, the only problem is that most of these, they're not available when you need them, like next week. You know, it may take a week, 2 weeks, 6 months, or a year before they're going to come to some location. So if you're looking at TV exposure, then you probably don't need to have it investigated anyway. If you're looking for help, you probably don't want a TV show because they're not going to get there in a timely manner for you. You know, it can be wrong, but when somebody that was been on a show kind of laughed at my comment, he thought it was kind of funny. I'm like, I thought it was pretty honest. I said, but didn't say no, that don't bring them in. It's just a matter of from a time sequence. You know, somebody needs help. They need it now. They don't need it 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 6 months ago now.
I agree completely, and I have an issue with the whole bringing in an outside company, a production company to film or whatnot. You know, you got a television show. What if they come to your location? Like, let's say they go to Ashmore. They show up out there, they do a big show, and the investigators happen to pick that one day when nothing happens. So they go, well, you know, we were here and we didn't have anything. Honestly, we just can't tell you the place is haunted. that's not going to help. And I'm not saying that they should intentionally lie and say the place is haunted, but it's just the idea that that's, that may
Actually,
hurt.
that did happen at Ashmore. So there was 2 teams came in. One found all kinds of demonic activity. You know which one that was, and the other one came in and said, "Yeah, there's nothing here. We didn't find anything at all." And it was kind of funny because they caught a lot of crap over that because teams that had been there said, "You're so full of crap." It's like we've had this happen, this. It's like so. Basically, they kind of belittled themselves. Instead of coming out saying, "Hey, we didn't have anything. Might have been an off night. Nothing's here. Was responded to us. We'd love to come back and try it again sometime." Instead of saying something like that, they're like, "Yeah, there's nothing here," and they were just probably kind of shooting things down. But yeah, that didn't go over so well with the paranormal community that'd been out there in the past. So I even though I agree with you, I don't really worry about it if somebody comes in and they think we didn't catch anything, because I've had others that have said that too. And they came in, and I think a lot of times it depends on a team's attitude or what's going on, or if they're not even, they come in, they're like, "I really don't even want a beer tonight. I'm so tired." It's like, well, then you need to go away. It's just,
Right.
because you don't need to be here.
Well, you mentioned that a team said that there was demonic activity. I don't like hearing that either, especially when you know better, because you don't want to chase people away, and people worried to get in there because something demonic might get them.
Yep, the demons don't seem to like our kids' days because they never come out when we have kids' day. They don't want to mess with the little kids running around, or the little 4, 6-year-old, 8-year-old kids. They're like, "Oh no, stay away from the little brats." It's like, I want to be a demon. I'm going to go over here and stay away from those kids. So yeah, we've never had anything like that happen out there at all. So Mike, you got anything else for Paul?
I don't think so. It's been interesting talking.
Yeah, it is. And if you haven't, and I think some people have probably, let me see if I can pop this up maybe here. And there we go. If you have not seen it, here's the book that he's been talking about, Thinking Outside the Box, Tips, Tricks, and Tactics in the Paranormal Investigator. And this is the newer edition, 2020 edition, by Paul Browning. So, check it out. You can find that. I think, in fact, I forget the name of the site that you said to go to, Paul.
That's it. Lulu.com.
LULU.com.
That's it.
That's easy enough. Yep. So LULU.com, and you can grab his book and check it out. But it's I haven't had a chance. Mike's dove into it more than I have. I haven't had a chance to get too far into it, but it looks like there's a lot of information and a lot of fun little tricks that you want to try and give it a shot.
It is. Like I said, I don't read books. So for me to actually sit down and go through and read multiple chapters like I have, like I said, I haven't finished it yet, but for me to do that says quite a bit.
I wrote the book for people who don't like to read. So it should help.
There you go.
Yeah. Yep.
So that fits both of us probably there. So yeah, I let Norma read everything and then tell me give me the short version, give me the Cliff Notes version of it. So
6 months for the book, or wait 6 months for the movie to come out.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, Paul, thanks so much for being with us tonight. We really enjoyed it and had a good time with it.
Thank you.
And, looking forward to reading more in that book, and hopefully everybody will pick one of those up. And Terry said she's already got hers from Lulu, so she's already bought one of them. So which doesn't surprise me at all. So but yeah, so get out there at the Lulu.com, and I'll just kind of throw that in there as a thread, and you can grab one of Paul's books and help him out, and we're looking forward to you being up there in February and kick Cancer's ass, and we'll see you up there in February, if not before. Be in touch and check it out, and maybe we can try to get you up there too sometime. Have you guys heard a couple of little voices here or there? Every once in a while.
Yeah, there's something funky going on every now and then.
Yeah. Like I just thought I heard one there that said "good job" or something like that. So it was kind of
I couldn't tell what it was, but I've heard a few times there's been something funky going on.
Yeah, it was something weird. I don't know, but so you can go back and not to plug our the YouTube channel, but you can go there and check it out, and LLF on the radio on the YouTube channel, or just watch the playbacks on the on the different Facebook pages. But yeah, it's like there was a couple voices that came through every once in a while, and I have,
Yeah,
and I was watching Paul at the same time, thinking maybe it was something coming through a microphone or something like that differently, or or something. But it's like there it is again, and you guys both had your mouth shut. So
yeah, I wouldn't say anything.
Did you hear that, Paul, or not?
I didn't hear anything on my end, and I'm alone.
Yeah.
So
well, and you guys didn't say a word. I was talking a little bit,
No.
so it wasn't me, but it was talking over me.
It almost sounds to me. It almost sounded like somebody said yours. Kind of what it sounded like. I don't know.
Well, considering Mike and I both are in haunted locations, and you never know what might pop on. But
Yeah.
there's again, it's like voices coming through like an envelope or something. It's like I don't. And you guys that are listening out there, I know Terry's listening. Can you guys hear something like that? Oh, okay. Marcus said he heard it.
Marcus said he heard it.
Yeah, and so yeah, I don't know. This is the first time that's ever happened, and this is 37th episode or something like that, 36th, 37th episode, and I've never heard that ever happen before. And so, and I'm using wired headphones, so there's nothing like feeding back through Bluetooth.
Mine are wireless, but I mean, I've used these every show, and I've never had anything.
Yeah, Terry said she could hear it too, so I have no idea. So,
you got a fan club, you got people following you.
Maybe those spirits are thinking out of the box tonight too.
Yeah, they're tuning in tonight.
Yeah, you heard it here. So it's kind of weird. So I'm just I talk about thinking out of the box. I'm just gonna try something. So if there's somebody out there trying to communicate with us on our show tonight, could you tell me what your name is or why you're here? Nothing. There it is. Something right after I said nothing, then something popped in there. Wow.
It was completely quiet though. After I said
well, we're thankful for the extra people that are listening or talking or communicating tonight with us, because we haven't brought you in, but obviously you know how to get on our show. So I'm gonna have to go back and listen to this. So yeah, this is really bizarre. So it's it'll be interesting to see what's happening. But there's something definitely coming through that we don't anticipate. So no idea what it is. Okay, well, I think that's about all the fun I could have for one time. That's kind of crazy. So, well, Paul, thanks much for coming on. And if you get a chance sometime, listen to some of that. Throw a set of headphones on and listen to this again. See what because it happened all during the show, and I thought it was probably feedback somewhere, but it's not, because when I started really thinking about it and was watching you two on the there, you guys weren't even talking, and the voice was coming through. So
I can hear it.
Yeah, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks again for being on. We appreciate it. Yeah. Thanks, with the whole book thing and all that. Yeah, appreciate that a lot.
Marcus, I agree with Marcus. I thought it was feedback too, but then I'm thinking that it's not, because Mike and I aren't doing anything now. Marcus, you're not using a set of headphones or anything, are you? I mean, Paul, you're not using headphones or anything, are you?
No, not at all.
Okay. So, but if we had, and we've done this before, when Mike and I have talked before without headphones, and it's a feedback the entire time. It's not a matter of
it's
a few seconds here and there. It's So Mark's had headphones on, but I hear it through his phone speaker. But yeah, if it was a feedback situation, it'd be going on constantly, and it's not. It's just like hit and miss, and it's been a few voices here and there. So it'd be interesting to go back and listen to it. So once again, thanks, Paul, for coming on, and I'll be in touch with you. We're going to talk a little bit more about everything between the book and Ashmore and coming up and do some things and all too. So we'll be in touch, and then we'll get together at some point.
So. Sounds good, and I just want to say thank you for having me on the show. I really enjoy being able to share some stuff. I always enjoy sharing stuff, but yeah, Robin, Mike, you guys are awesome. Keep doing what you're doing. Love the show. Been listening ever since I got on there, so it's fun to listen to.
Exactly. So, okay, have a good night, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah. Have a good night. Thanks.
Night, Paul.
too.
Okay, that was great having Paul on tonight and
It
talking
was.
with us on things. So
Good time.
and, looking forward to finishing the rest of his book and checking that out, and then
Same here.
and having him here in person in February. That'll be fun. So kind of looking forward to that as well. So, but yeah, we will be here next week. And for people that may not know Richard has wrote, he's cranking books out, faster than bunnies crank out bunnies. And so but yeah, he's got a lot of books coming out, and he's almost like he's got the book of the week club. It's like one book every week almost. It's like so. But yeah, he's got a lot of books coming out. He was actually also on Paranormal 911, and Haunted Hospitals. He's been on a couple of TV shows, but he's very down to earth. We've kind of shared a little bit of the same thing. He's a paramedic, and I'm involved with the EMS. So and he's been out in Colorado when they had the shootings out there years ago, and so he's got a lot of information about a lot of different things. So kind of looking forward to talking to him next week. So we'll see what's happening with Richard. But until that point in time, it's been fun. So and it'll be interesting to see what comes out of those voices.
Yeah.
So okay, well, we're gonna get out of here, and everybody have a good night, and we will be here and chat with you next week.
Yep. So, have a good night. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Thanks. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
My name is Mike, and I'm the founder of the Lost Limbs Foundation. The Lost Limbs Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that provides assistance to amputee children in need of prosthetics. I started the charity after my own struggles after my leg being amputated just above the knee. Prosthetics cost thousands of dollars, and the average lifespan is 5 to 7 years on a prosthetic. Kids are constantly growing, so they'll go through multiple prosthetics throughout their life. This is the prosthetic leg that I use, and the cost was about $70,000. The Rhodes Hotel is in Atlanta, Indiana, and is owned and operated by the Lost Limbs Foundation. We are currently doing photo shoots, ghost hunts, and special events to help raise money for the charity. For more information, you can go to lostlimbsfoundation.org. With your help, we can help these kids one step at a time.